Hi everyone, Dr. Nicole Lepera, the holistic psychologist here. Many of you have probably by now heard myself or other people talking about the need to create a habit of getting back into our bodies, of grounding ourselves in our bodies, of reconnecting with our bodies. Because if you're like myself and many others, you spend too much time in your head, thinking through our life, thinking about the past, about the future, just thinking, which results in us being really disconnected from our physical self, from our intuitive center, from our emotions, and from a big part of what makes us us. So I get questions when I talk about this. Okay, great. What do you mean when you say get back in the body? And more importantly, how do I do it? So if you're like me, the first step is really realizing how disconnected you are. Checking in with yourself. And if you notice when you do check in with yourself that you're lost in thought, chances are you're spending a lot of your day that way. So you probably, like me, are quite disconnected and need to begin to cultivate this sort of practice of reconnecting with our body. So how do we do that? The first way we can do that is focus on our senses, right? So I'm sitting here in this room right now, and my senses are taking in sensory information, right? So the sense of touch, I can feel if I bring my attention, right, to where my legs are hitting, my butt against the ground, I can focus on touch and really be grounded in my body. If you have incense or aromas in your room, you can focus on smell. Right, really smelling what it is to be in this space. If you're outside, maybe that's cut grass. Others, what do you see, right? I can see the beautiful color of this mat. You get the picture, right? If we use our five senses, that can help us come back into our body because we are being the receiver of that sense information in that moment. And to be that receiver, we're in our body. We're using those senses. Another thing we can begin to practice is connecting with the sensations, not just our senses, our sensations. We have energy that's running through our body. If you're connected to it or not, it's there all day long. So cultivating the awareness of those sensations, right? If I do a scan right now, ask yourself, what do you feel going on in your body? Are there areas that feel tight or constricted? Are there areas that feel wide and expansive? So for instance, I know for me, I feel a lot of constriction in my shoulders and in my upper back. I'm feeling a little bit of it right now. Other sensations, you might feel an energy or an electricity or a zapping, prickly feeling. For me, I've noticed I get that a lot in my lower legs. Sometimes I'll just be laying on my couch and I'll feel almost a buzz sensation of what feels like electricity. It's energy in my legs in particular. You might not feel it in your legs. You might get a buzzing sensation down your arms, in your back. This is the practice of connecting with your body and your sensations. And we do this again two ways. We either practice reconnecting with our senses and the beautiful information that our body is receiving in any given moment, coming back into our bodies in that moment, allowing ourselves to experience what it is to be smelling, seeing, touching, tasting whatever's happening in that moment. And we can also begin to cultivate really understanding our body and our energy and how it shifts and changes and becomes constricting and expanding and tingly and tense and zapping and expansive and all of the things. It's going to be different for each of us. But this is how we cultivate returning to our body. And remember, as always, it's a practice. I spent so much of my life disconnected that it became a daily consistent effort for me to make these choices, to build in those moments throughout my day where I don't just check in with my mind and what I'm thinking about. More importantly, where I check in is with my body and what I'm feeling about and what I can take in and receive in that moment. The more you practice, the more you return to your body, And the more over time you learn how to cultivate that connection with that intuition, that deeper place of knowledge and information and wisdom. And we start by making the commitment to build one moment in our day where we use this tool of coming back into our body.